What is this object I found in the storage of a museum? The museum is a converted Victorian mansion that was briefly the home and working office of a doctor in the late 19th century. It's about 8 inches long and 1.5 inches wide at the widest point. It has a spring mechanism and a thick hollow needle. The handle on the opposite end of the needle is wooden, and the spring locks up when compressed, drawing the needle inward. Please help me figure out what is this thing. Thanks in advance. It's a 19th century trocar, a medical or veterinary device used in minimally invasive surgery. Cows and sheep sometimes get into a type of grass that they like, but which causes severe, possibly fatal bloating from gas. Years ago, the cure for that problem would be to puncture the stomach to release the gas and the pressure. Patents for trocars appear early in the 19th century, although their use dated back possibly thousands of years. By the middle of the 19th century, trocar cannulas had become sophisticated. What is this metal orb I found buried in my 100-plus-year-old house? We were digging, and this was from about 2 feet deep. It's about 3 by 3 inches with no movable parts. It looks like a salt shaker or a perfume bottle. There are some writings at the bottom that I cannot make out. Any ideas? It's an Art Deco Fiancé Bourgeois talcum powder bottle. This is a rare powder talc tin from Bourgeois. It's really hard to find, but I found one on eBay. The metal cap comes off to reveal the holes in the powder shaker. It's also embossed Bourgeois on the bottom. What are these things I found while metal detecting on the east coast of Canada? They are buried about a foot deep with a bunch of 1960s beer cans. Any idea what they are, and if the markings are decorative or representative of something? They are Victorian Eastlake-style rosettes from circa 1870s through the 1890s. They are base plates for a doorknob and fancy ones. It has a hole for a doorknob, as well as 2 countersunk screw holes. They liked ornate stuff in their houses in the Victorian period. On the outside, it is a lovely enameled bowl roughly 5 inches in diameter, but when you open it, it is made of copper with an insert. No marks on the bottom, but highly decorated with enameled green leaves. It has a $200 price tag on it. Am I missing something? What the heck is this? It's a Victorian covered soap dish, and this pattern ran from 1891 to 1896. Here are some similar ones in ironstone rather than copper, and it seems using metal was common for soap dishes too in the Victorian times. I found this in an antique store in Victoria, Australia. I would just like to know what era it's from or if it's a replica. I really don't know much more than what's pictured. Any help you can provide would be much appreciated. It's a Hitler pocket knife, which is a J.A. Henkel's Zwillingswerk limited edition. In 1976, Henkel's found the original mold and made 1,800 of these pin knives, then broke the mold. This knife was originally made for Hitler himself and given by Hitler to his personal brown suit goose steppers. So when the Allies captured one of Hitler's brown suit goose steppers and they had one of these pin knives on them, they would be killed. So in order to avoid execution, they would throw the knives away. In 1976, I purchased with documentation from Henkel's 1/319th of 1800 that was made, after which the mold was destroyed. What is this Victorian antique box with a slide-out step but leather-lined tops? I would have assumed this was just a library step, but it doesn't make sense to me that it has leather-lined tops. The lid is also hinged and lifts up. Maybe a pot cupboard that has been modified later. Any other ideas out there? It's a 19th century bedside commode with a retractable wooden step stool. The commode was used firstly to house a porcelain chamber pot, and secondly, as steps for a lady to climb onto a bed. These styles of step commodes were predominantly used in the very early to late 1800s and are rare antique pieces. What is this 4 or 5 inch cylinder with no top and a solid base? There is a crest that appears to have Queen Victoria and 2 lions on it, and a shield at the back with the date June 22nd, 1897, which is Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. It appears to be made of wood, and it is empty inside. I can't find anything like it online. Does anyone know what this would have been originally used for? It's a hat pin holder commemorating the 60-year reign of Queen Victoria in 1897 with a missing lid. These commemorative pin holders were made in great numbers for sale to the public. I believe it to be ebony because of others I have seen, but it is not marked. What is this button found in the Victorian fort in Dover, UK? I thought it to be interwar. It was found in Fort Burgoyne by my son 10 years ago. Any information about it would be much appreciated. It's a British General Service button, worn when specific regimental or corps buttons weren't available. The Tudor-style crown shows it was manufactured during the reign of one of the kings between 1901 and 1953. The General Service Corps comprises primarily reservists, specialists who have not been assigned to other units or corps and are usually active only in wartime. What is this thing? It appears to be a decorative copper dustpan I found in a free library art exchange. I guess maybe an Indian or similar ethnic origin. Does anyone know what this is or what it was used for? This is called a silent butler, also known as crommer in less polite circles. This was used for sweeping up crumbs off a table from the time when dining was an art. One hand holds the skiff flat to the tabletop, while the broom is dragged across the tablecloth to gather what might be left behind from the course. This was popular from the late 1890s, right up through the early 1960s. My son is doing a project on World War I, and part of it is to guess the mystery image. So I assume it's military. I won't spoil it for him, but wondered if any of you know what it is. We've guessed something to do with navigation, but Google searches haven't come up with anything similar. No results from TinEye either. Any help idea or clue is appreciated. It's a World War I British fire directional plotter. These plotters may have been in service with machine gun units and possibly by the field artillery and foot artillery. One half-circular section represents the forward observer, and the other half-circular section represents the base gun position. The distance is set on the scale by pulling the two half-circular pieces apart. This system will seem extremely easy in comparison to US-style manual gunnery with an RDP. What is this small capsule found among some of my grandfather's things? It's made of metal and very light, so maybe aluminum. The spoon or shovel is not adhered to the main unit, perhaps to be removed for use. I didn't try too hard to open it, especially since we're not sure what could be in it, but it looks like it could be opened. Any ideas on what this is? Please tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.